Hey everyone, it's Detox here with my buddy MZ.
What's up, guys?
There's my friend. And we are doing our season wrap up podcast. And we thought the best way to do it was talk about the cruise we just went on.
Epic.
It was epic. And by the time you guys hear this, it will have been a couple months, but we wanted to record it right off and well, it was fresh in our memory. But and what do you think, MZ?
Let's do it, man. I'm
Yeah,
excited for this one. I mean, it's the end of the season. Kind of sad about that, but I think we're going to be ending on a good note.
I,
We've
I
got
do.
lots to talk about, and this trip was incredible.
So we have to talk about how the trip actually happened because that really you're the one that kind of caused it in a good way, not in a bad way. But
It's all your fault.
it's all my fault. Wait, hold on, I gotta fix this.
I don't know. I think if we're going to point fingers at anybody, it'd probably be our executive producer.
Yes, let's blame Cindy. That's a good idea. And so
Hashtag love you, Cindy.
yes. Sorry. We'll go back to that because how this was all going down. So we just started the season. We're not even we're not even 5 podcasts in. And we're kind of spitballing ideas on what we'd like to see happen. And one of them was bringing on Loretta Swit, right? We did that because she was just iconic to nurses from a celebrity standpoint and found out that actually she did a lot with veterans and it was impressive, right? It was a really, really good podcast. So we did that one. And then we were talking about other options. And I had seen this guy that was really funny. And I said,
And
"Hey,
cute as a button.
cute as a button." Yeah. And I said, "There's this guy, it's like Nurse Blake or something." And I said, "I've been watching him and like, he's hilarious, you know?" And she's, "Oh," and we looked into it and we found out that he was going on tour. And so I said, "Well, we're kind of new. So let's just hold for now." And Cindy said, "Okay," but didn't listen, Cindy. And she was looking ahead saying, he's on tour. We might as well put the question in for an interview now because probably a lot of people are going to be lining up and it'll take a while. And that was the whole thought. And then I get a call and I hear, "So, Detox, I did a thing." I was like, you're always worried when somebody starts with, "I did a thing."
So here's what happened.
Here's what happened. Yeah. And I said, "What thing was that?" And then she starts telling me, "Well, I did Nurse Blake. I sent a email to his PR person." And she answered and said, "Absolutely, let's schedule it." And then we were like, "Oh shit." We definitely weren't expecting within so few podcasts to, pick up somebody that we had to do more logistics with, right? So that had like people and whatnot.
He
So
has
we were
people.
he has people, yes, he has lots of people. So, we had some logistics with that, right? Like one time they had to cancel, one time we had to cancel, but we got it done. We did it. And we had the interview. And so then, see, I'm going to let you talk about what happened in the interview and how this all came about. So this is where it all materialized.
Yeah, so I was beyond excited to talk with him. I had my little list of questions I wanted to ask
All
and things I
prepared.
wanted to bring up. Oh, yes.
Hashtag
A type.
fangirl.
Totally. Oh my gosh. Who wouldn't be? He's freaking amazing for 152 reasons. So we're in the middle of the interview and Nursecon at sea comes up and I was like, "So Blake, is there really this big conference that you do? Is it the way it looks online? And are there really drag queens? Like CEU, tell me about this." So he's telling us about it and at the end was kind enough to say, "Why don't you guys come?" So I interpreted that because sometimes I'm a little bit pessimistic. I was like, "Yeah, I'm like you say that, but I'll believe it when I see it."
But
So
I even said to him, like, "I'm a retired nurse," like that. And "We have," and he's, "Just get yourself there on us." And we were both like, "What?"
immediately thinking this is too good to be true. And right up until the time we left the port, I was like, So apparently Blake meant it.
Right.
Literally over and over in my head. We're flying to Miami. We're getting on the boat. I'm sitting on the water and wow. So Blake meant it. He is a man of his word. And yeah, that's kind of how we got there.
That is. And I'm going to back up just a little bit on this. When we started this is the first time we've actually this is our coming out party, right? We've never
I'm
done
coming.
go
It only makes sense to do that after being on a boat with a bunch of
drag queens.
beautiful drag
Mhm.
queens and Blake and
Lots of
all of our
nurses,
friends,
all
all
of
the
our
nurses.
friends. And it was more
Yeah.
than just nurses. Hell, there was a mechanic on there. Remember? He kept like, I'm a mechanic. I'm like,
He can limbo.
yeah, that can limbo. We had the mechanic that can limbo. You bet.
There were some EMTs,
Yep.
some anesthesiologists,
LPN. Yep.
LPNs. Yep.
CRNAs, CNAs, and
It was kind of a
spouses,
mix of all sorts of healthcare related jobs.
veterans. We ran into our people,
Yes.
which we'll get into later. But yeah, so when we did all this, we figured, you know what? We really don't do audio, I mean visual for the sheer fact, I'm gonna tell you, we're kind of lazy. There's a couple of reasons. One,
I don't like to wear pants.
yeah, we don't like to get ready much. And two, you're going to see it in this video. I move. I do not sit still. You will see me all over this damn screen. So, Cindy, we're doing this for you. You're going to see how squirmy I am. And then you're going to go, don't do that again.
Speaking of moving and all over the place, I still
Me
feel I
too.
don't know what you call it, but it's this like motion of the ocean. I'm sitting there still, not a drop of alcohol, and I'm swaying.
Yeah. So I
When does
had
that
this
turn
discussion.
off?
I just found out. So one of our fellow podcasters, Pam from 2200 Tap, y'all should go listen to her.
Pam
Had this
Berrigan.
conversation. She is a prior coastie and she was on the boat. And I said to her, I'm like, how long does this last? Because she said, yes, when people come off boats and say we have to do a sobriety test on them, like when they were doing patrol and they had to, pull a boat over, and they said you put them on land and you have to wait 15 minutes. And I was like, 15 minutes? We're on like 2 days. She goes, you were on a cruise ship. She goes, that's 3, 4 days. I said, I'm sitting here talking to you and I'm seriously in motion.
Right?
And I'm not sure what my hair is doing. Oh, there it is. I'm like, why is it up there? Anyway, so yes. So back to the story. You finally I didn't even realize until you looked at me and said, no, this is real. I'm like, well, I hope so, because I'm watching us debark here. We're leaving. And if it's fake, we're in trouble.
Ye little faith.
Well,
Yeah.
and so let's start from the beginning on our cruise. That's what we're going to talk about because it was a lot of fun and a lot happened, and part of us is happy to still be alive.
Yes.
Both of us at some point. Um,
Yes.
yes. But day one
So when we're flying into Florida, leaving Texas,
on
we ended
when?
up, it was Monday.
Right. But what
Monday.
was it? What was going on?
Oh, yes. So that was the day of the eclipse. And I remember talking to Detox before, and she was super not crazy about the idea. There's an eclipse, has had some not so great experiences with that in the past. I'm like, it's going to be all good. We'll be out the door before the sun is even up. And we were, and the day was oddly very smooth.
Very
Like,
smooth. Very smooth.
yeah,
Yes. And so we're
yeah.
like, okay. I mean, I think that we
And
had like little, nothing that stopped anything, but MZ ran into a funny situation. She
oh,
was
you
trying
mean
to
when I
be
got
kind.
this is what I get for being nice. Okay.
Right.
The flight attendant from Southwest was going up and down the aisle collecting trash, and I went to hand it over. She didn't hear. So after, excuse me, I
Yes. Very
tap,
gently.
very gently, trying to be respectful of people in their space, but didn't want to miss her, gently tapped the back of her shoulder from a seated position, like, want to make it clear, I wasn't hitting, I wasn't poking, I wasn't jarring. It was very soft. And she turns around and goes, you would do well in the future to not ever poke another flight attendant again. We don't work to get pushed around. I was like,
Wow.
somebody needs a hug, therapy, a
Get
drink, to
laid.
get laid. I don't, maybe all of the above, we've all been there, but honey, go get help.
Yes.
Get
Oh,
help.
dang. That was our
Yeah.
only hiccup on the flight, though. Wasn't all
Yeah.
we're
There's
smooth.
not a whole lot of times I'm left at a loss of words, but that was one of them. I was just kind of like, ooh, somebody's soul is angry. You should go fix that. Go fix that. Get help. Oh, we met Jacques that day too.
And we met Jacques that day. So, yeah, so we get there, and of course, I'm gonna just tell you, being military, we're very good at on the fly stuff. So, we know we have a room. We did the basics. We got the hotel room, and how we're gonna get anywhere, we don't know. But we're like,
We'll
"We'll
figure
figure
it
that
out.
out." So, I mean, in this day and age, Uber, right? So we call for an Uber, and the pseudo Uber comes up to us, "Hello, ladies," in his big Cadillac SUV. "Do you need an Uber?" We're like, "Yes." And,
I was totally getting Taken vibes out of him.
"What kind of
You know,
vibes?"
you ever see that movie? It's got Liam Neeson. It's called Taken.
"Oh, take it." Yes. Yeah, and
I've got a very specific set of skills. Yeah, that guy.
he was basically hawking on the Uber without being an Uber. He's, "Oh, you don't need that. He's $20." I'm like, "Yeah, but I pay you through Uber." And then he looked at me, and then MZ's, "Are you an Uber?" And what did he do? He was like, "Yeah, yeah."
Yeah, yeah, no big deal.
And
Yeah,
so
till we wind up in a suitcase and in Mexico.
we just kind of looked at each other. I'm like, "Yeah, no, I'm good." And he walked off.
Mm-mm.
Fortunately, we did that because then we met Jacques.
Who
Jacques
later
was our
became known as Jacqueline. We'll get to that part.
We'll get to that part. But Jacques, very, very kind soul. And he picks us up. And yeah, I was part Airvex. So we're like resourceful. Like when we find somebody that's nice and trustworthy and good, we just kind of adopt them. So I quickly realized he's a good guy. And I said, "Hey, we're going to the port tomorrow in Miami." So we're in Fort Lauderdale. Like we didn't want to be in Miami. We're like, forget that. It's too busy. And I said, "Would you be willing to drive us like on your own?" He's, "Oh, yes." And he drove us to the port. And when we got back, he drove from Fort Lauderdale to Miami and picked us up and brought us back. Right. So he was just the kindest soul. And we adopt. Now he's like our brother. So we met
Our
him,
Haitian brother
our Haitian brother, got dropped off. And
had the
then, of course,
best damn fish tacos ever.
yeah, that place. Yeah, and sangria. That was some good shit.
Blackberry sangria. It tasted like something that you should have been smearing over toasted bread with butter. It was delicious in my mouth. I'm drooling even
So I
thinking
was
about it
like,
right now.
"Are you drooling now?" Like,
So
yeah,
good.
we shared a little bit there. And then we decided, because MZ's, "I need to go get" what you need to go get? Something. We had to at
Some
the
some
CVS.
native deodorant. And no,
Oh,
we're not
yes.
getting endorsed. I just am trying to do better with my life.
So, yeah, so I need to get the deodorant. I'm like, "Okay." So we're gonna walk to CVS, and we get probably about 3/4 of the way, and it's now dark, right? And we're just walking along, and bad. I wouldn't say there's anything bad. It's not
No, I just
slum.
remembered I wasn't strapped and it's
Right. MZ is not, we're not carrying it, and we're walking. I'm like, I don't even have pepper spray. And there was just something. And literally at the same time, we both stopped, and she looked at me and she goes, "It's not happening." And I'm like, "Yep." And we just turned around and walked back. And Jacques said to us, "It's not like the slum area, but it is really questionable." He's good you turned around.
which
I
ended
was
up
like,
okay. We ended
okay.
up going
So,
back to the room, got a good night's rest, listened to
yeah.
some Pearl Jam,
So, yeah, we chilled
some Alice
out.
in Chains.
We did. It's all
Yeah,
that. That's right. We were doing like have you heard this one? So
yeah.
it's humorous to me because MZ is she's kind of like little sister age. We're different generations here. And so the fact that she was listening to my music, I'm like, "Where's this come from? This is great." So
I
yeah.
am a musical weirdo for those that don't know. If you ever ride with me, my apologies in advance. It will be Sesame Street 1 minute, Dolly Parton the next, some Tupac, and then Pantera. It just be like that. Musical ADHD to the fullest. So then let's see. That brings us to day 2.
Day
Woke
two.
up. got some breakfast.
Yeah.
We
Oh, I
saw
had that.
Jacques. He picked us up.
Well, I had the nice lady that helped us figure out those stupid luggage tags. She like the lady at the hotel because we
Oh,
couldn't figure
yes.
out. So she sorted us out there. She goes, "I've probably done this 1,000 times." I'm like, "Okay, thanks." And so we got sorted out there. Yep, Jacques was there waiting, like no question, and then we left.
Yeah, we get to the boat. The check-in was super smooth. I tell you what, Blake and his team have the whole thing down to a science. It
Yeah.
was so organized and smooth, and that's really impressive when you think about how many people.
And the
I
cruise
think they
line
were.
itself, like
Yeah,
Norwegian was the cruise line, and shout out to them because really, we in an entire week, we ran into one kinda shitty person.
talking about the wait
Yeah.
staff.
Yeah.
Yeah,
There was this one and he wasn't even really that bad, he was just kinda curt, really, but he stood out compared to how everybody else was. But,
their staff is so sweet.
oh
All
my
of
god.
them, with the exception of that guy. I see
Yeah.
his face too.
Gloria, shout out to Gloria, we love her.
Yes,
She
she
was
was
our girl.
wonderful. So
So
we
we
get
did.
there. And it was like getting loved on right from the beginning. There were little goodie swag bags waiting on our beds.
And you had never
Uh,
cruised before. That's the big thing. You
yeah,
were a cruise virgin. So when we walked into the building that we need to process through to get to the cruise ship's right in front of the building. And I said to MZ, I'm like, look up. And she's looking up. And it didn't, it's the glass was all, like cut. It wasn't one big piece of glass. So you had to kind of look to see the cruise ship. And she goes, holy
it just
crap, it's
keeps
taller.
going.
It was taller than the building. And I was like, yeah. So that was your
Yeah.
first close up with a cruise ship.
Yeah, it was definitely bigger than I anticipated.
You even said,
Uh,
"Ah." That's always a good thing. I told you too. I said, I go, our hotel could fit on this. And it could have. It could have fit on the front end of it. No problem.
Easily.
And you didn't even have a concept. I'm like, I don't even have a concept of that. I'm like, wait. And you're like, damn.
So I remember we pulled off, and I think the first kind of surreal moment was when we were pulling out of Miami. There was a line in the water where you can
Yes.
see, and it's like very defined, like a light blue and a dark blue, fresh and salt water. And hopefully we're able to get a picture of that for the podcast. But that was super cool. I'd seen pictures online, but to see it in person, it was part of me a little majestic. I
Yes.
love nature. It's
It's
beautiful.
beautiful. It was beautiful. Yeah, and it was so distinct. I was like, wow, to see I've seen pictures, but to see that right up and close, it was really neat to see that. So we were just enjoying it. I mean, we were just kind of like, okay. We had a nice room. We had a stateroom and a balcony. Blake, you did us well.
Spoiled.
Very spoiled. And we had the corner room, which meant all it meant was like our balcony was a little bit bigger because it kind of bent and we could see
We could
around.
peep in on our friends.
We did. And we found our veterans 2 doors down, right?
That's right. So
So,
then,
what do we do next? So that was a day we just walked around that day. We really just checked out the different spots and kinda got familiar, and then we went to eat. We went to what was
mhm,
that? Shanghai. We went and there was a
Shanghai, the noodle bar.
that noodle bar, and they
We met,
were packing
who
us
was it?
in.
Amanda and Ebony. They were 2 L&D nurses from New York City.
Shout out to
Super
you,
cool girls.
ladies. Yes,
Yeah.
and learned I'll tell you, it kinda blew my mind. They were labor and delivery nurses, and I was one in the past. Yep, the fingers, we all talk with our fingers up, right?
I know where you're going with this.
No, but, yeah. And so I don't know what we were talking about. Let me preface it. I did all but 2 years of my nursing career in the military, okay? So I'm just gonna preface that first. And they were talking about I made a comment that I had worked those 2 years civilian in labor and delivery, and I was like, "God, I was kinda bored," and they're like, "What do you mean?" I said, "Well, one of the doctors, like, he wanted to do all the pushing with the patient, like, right from the beginning, which is fine, but that's what I did, right? I mean, so you're taking that away from me." I said, "I also I had a tech with me, but I would do the baby as long as the baby looked good, I let the tech finish the recovery, and if not, I worked with a tech, we resuscitate or call a doctor, whatever we need to do. I said, and then I took care of mom, postpartum. The first part of it, I said I took care of all that. And yeah, and we just like I said, so I was really bored when I worked civilian. There was like a nursery nurse, and then the doc was doing all the pushing, and I'm like, what do you want me to do? Push some pit, write some notes, call it good, right? And somehow through that conversation, I think it was Ebony said, "Oh, well, in the state of New York, we're not even allowed to do exams, vaginal exams, not to gross people out, but we got to know how far along the baby is." And what was the other thing they couldn't do? There was something else and I forgot. I don't remember the other one, but
Can't remember, but I know for sure exams,
and
she
I
said.
was like, What?" I said, "Well, what's going on?" And she's, "Yep, we're not allowed to do that." I was like,
Mind
"Holy
blown.
cow." And big difference. Oh, the other one was they weren't trained to do deliveries.
Oh, yeah, that, and
Like,
then there was
and
something
when
with the drugs too.
I can't remember the other thing, but in the military, everybody, and when I say everybody, the doctors do the delivery, and the nurse practitioners, I mean, the nurse midwives, they do the delivery. But all of us, the nurses and the techs, are all trained, and part of our orientation is to a delivery, a safe one onto the bed in case we get in a situation that mom goes quick, there's nobody around. You can at least get the baby to the bed, do the suction, know what to do. Everybody. I was nurse manager. That was part of the orientation. It was a very important part. And when I worked civilian, I found out that wasn't the case. And I just sat there jaw dropped. Now, I'm sure they're doing great things, but it just blew my mind that you don't do that. So
It was right around the time we were explaining the enlisted medical scope as well, that it
the
looked like their
drugs that
eyes
you could
wanted
get. Yeah.
ketamine,
You're like, "I'm getting
field
ketamine."
amputations,
Yeah.
Crico what?
They're like, "What are you talking about?" And so, yeah, our
Chest
level of
tubes?
training is much different for many reasons, right? And we have to be a little more diverse. I mean, if we get deployed as a labor and delivery nurse, I am not going to be sitting waiting for somebody to have a baby. And if somebody in the military is having a baby, they're in the wrong place in deployment.
You broke General Order 1,
That's right. That's the problem. So, yeah, we
341.
have to be more well versed, right? So, all right. So, all that super nice. We loved it. And then we were also kind of playing a game while we were on the ship, right? So, we would post one picture a day and we would hashtag it, "Where's Detox and MZ?" Right. And so we were doing that. And so we kind of told him, like, "Technically, kind of found us." I said, "But gotta have a picture." And so they didn't. They were like, "Yeah, we're going to look stuff up." But it didn't happen, which I'm sure they were really busy, so I'm not knocking them, no big deal, but it let the game keep going, so that was kind of fun.
I hope they
Um,
find us at some point. I would
I
love to
hope
connect
so
with them.
because they
We
were oh,
we had a
yeah,
really good
sorry.
conversation about, like, health disparities, and Ebony was talking to us specifically about women of color and some of the she had recently gone to a conference that was talking
Yes.
about those health disparities, and for my I'm still in APA. I'm in college mode still. I just took this block off because I've got some stuff going on, but I'm sitting there like soaking it up like a sponge. I would love to connect with her and talk about that. I mean, we could have a whole podcast
Yeah, there's a
episode
whole
on the
yeah,
disparities across the nation.
yep,
But that
yep.
was super interesting.
African American women are much higher risk, yeah, for issues to occur during pregnancy and childbirth. Yeah, it's kinda crazy. And we had a good discussion about that, and then which one was moving to
Amanda,
Atlanta,
we
right,
talked
that's
her
right.
out of going to Houston.
Yeah, we
L-
said, "No, oh my god, it's traffic central." But she's from New York City. So, I mean, I said, Obviously, it's probably not as bad as New York City, but it's really bad." I mean, it has the world record highway, 26 lanes across it. Like,
No,
really.
thank you.
Yeah, and so now she's considering Austin or move near us, that's fine. So, yeah, so if you hear this, Amanda, reach out because if you do decide that, Houston's your place, I still have a connection for you. So
So then we went and enjoyed some karaoke and silent disco. That's a thing. I'd never even heard of silent disco
yeah,
until we
I
got
didn't even
into
have
the
the
boat.
concept. I'm like, "What is that?" And so you go in, this room and it sounds quiet because everybody has headsets on. And there's what, 4 channels.
Yep,
And
4 channels.
and every time you change the channel, the side of the headset has like a color on it and it will change color. So you know who's listening to what channel. So when you're dancing with your friends, you can flip the channel or whatnot. And that was actually fun. I thought it would be, like, awkward, but it was fun.
It
You're
was
all
cool.
Yeah, so when you have the headsets on, you all think you're in the same club and you're all just dancing around, so we did that. We did go listen to karaoke. It's nothing funnier than drunk people thinking
Oh
that
my
they can
gosh.
sing, and there was a couple that were good. There was the lady that she had a good voice, but I forgot the
For an
song
opera singer, it was Evanescence, "Bring Me to Life,"
Bring
and
Me
I
to
thought the
Life.
windows were going to break, and I was like, "Girl,
No opera singing with effervescence, that doesn't work.
sit down, ma'am."
All right. So that step 1 was pretty benign. I mean, we were
Yeah,
just and I'm just gonna tell you, we came on this cruise with the attention to sleep and eat and
self-care.
yeah, self-care. And that really was the whole thing because we suck at it because we're both medical and we're military. So we were gonna try this
Hey,
self-care thing out.
moms.
And so keep that in mind as we're having this story. So that was day 2, day 3. Now we're all like, okay, we're going to go. Well, day 2 of the cruise, but day 3 of us moving along. We're going to go to the gym. And we did. We went in there and got our workout on. It was a little crowded. Apparently, there's all nurses and a lot more of them were working out than I realized, but we were good.
It is such a small world, so the couple, I say couple, it was 2 friends.
Yeah.
Sorry, JJ and Tony. You guys aren't, I mean, you're a
Oh,
couple of friends,
did
but
we
you're
meet
not
them
there
there? Where did
together.
we
Where
met
did
them
I don't
just
even
before? How did we meet them?
well, I know we saw them that next morning. That's what it was. So on all of the doors, they had like, "Where are you from?" and "What's something cool about you?" And their door
Oh,
said that they were
veterans.
military veterans. So we left a note on their door, and that's how we ended up meeting. And we saw them the next day in the gym.
That's
And
right.
Tony and I were talking about training and working out, da da da. And somehow Air Force Wounded Warrior came up, and he was saying that one of his friends has been training for warrior games and gets to go all over and is just doing really well. And I was like, "Oh, who is it?" And ended up being a mutual friend
Somebody,
of ours.
yeah, you knew. That's
Yeah.
right.
Yep. Somebody who I have a lot of love and respect for. And it's just crazy how small the Air Force really is. Try not to burn bridges if you can. And I know that might be a little ironic coming from me, the chick sitting with a box of matches in her back pocket at any given time. I use it sparingly and when it's needed. I'll put it that way. But otherwise, I try very hard to play nice. But that's why you never. I mean, you're what do they say?
Spe
2 people away from.
Oh, yeah, what's that
I
saying?
forget what they say, but
From
small world.
it is small, but we met they were very, very kind people, and when you said match when you said the matches, I'm like, "Oh, you just led right into when you almost lit one." The
What?
elevator.
Oh, yes, yes. What? Yeah. Well, he had it coming.
We
He had
were
it
we
coming.
were going to
He had it
this
coming.
live music, right, which was fun, that we went there every night because they were so much fun, but
They were great.
we were getting on the elevator. Oh, we were getting on the elevator and this one opens up and it's full. And what was the we said something like, "Oh, I think it's full." And is that what
Oh,
the
I oh, I thought you were talking about the other elevator story. My bad.
Oh, no, 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 no. This one was the guy just snarked off.
Oh, so we have 3 elevator stories. It's all coming back to me. We've got lip gloss. This is very full, and then the last day, which is what I think
Oh,
you're talking
yeah.
about. Yeah,
No, no.
yeah.
Is that the last
You're
day?
like, "Is it full?" And the guy was like, I don't even remember what he said. So we
It's like,
clicked the button
no
and
kidding, or some very sassy comment. And I looked
yeah, it was
over
a
and
dick.
I could literally see MZ like just jaw tense. I'm like, "Oh shit." And we're all tired, like it's been a week and stuff. And I just remember
I'm overstimulated as shit.
the elevator doors opened back up and and it's still them. They didn't go anywhere. And MZ did not miss a beat. And she looked right at the guy and goes, "Is it still full?"
He had it coming.
He did have it coming. But yeah, that and you're right. That was the last day. So I'm getting ahead of myself. All right. What was the one? What was the one that day?
Uh,
Anything that happened
s
that
so day 3, we went to Sid Norman's, we had a great front row seat, had a couple lemon drops. Yes, and that was the other elevator story, that was that night, in a pink Barbie shirt,
yes.
also in another elevator full of people, and I'm not gonna lie, I was a little bit cute that
Oh,
night. I was a little bit
yes.
cute,
You
and
were looking
luck
very cute. That's right. And now I remember it. I just blinked out. Oh,
lucky
yes.
for
It was a
him, I
camera.
wasn't a little bit drunk because that might have gone down another direction, because that's a
Mhm.
very pretty shade of pink on lip gloss you have. And I was like, oh, thank you. Half the dudes on this boat are gay. So I'm just thinking he has an appreciation for makeup. Wonderful. And he goes, it looked really good around my, and I'm not even going to repeat the last word, gross. And I was like, surely not. And he just smiled. I was like, you're going to feel really embarrassed about yourself when you get your ass stomped by a girl half your size wearing a pink Barbie shirt. You should probably rethink how you talk to people. And thankfully, we got to the 10th floor, doors open, Detox and I walk out. And the last thing I heard, there were two older Black ladies on the elevator and they were going to town. I was like,
They were telling him
thanks for
off.
handling my
And I
lightweight.
didn't hear it because he was in the back and I was more up front. And he said one thing first. And I kind
Something
of
about like
looked,
going down on somebody. It was
yeah.
weird.
And then I didn't hear the lip gloss until, and you were like, I mean, your face was tense. I'm like, what happened? Then she told me, I'm like, oh, he's still upright. She's like, lucky the elevator doors opened. I'm like, oh shit.
I
Yeah.
can't go to jail on a boat, and orange
Yeah.
isn't my color, it's
I
pink,
will
so
say that, the hot guys on the ship, and there were a couple, I'll give them that,
there was exactly 2 out
and
of
they were
3,000
gay.
people.
Yeah, they were gay.
Yes. Blake was one of them.
Okay, there was 3 because I saw 2 good ones, but they were gay. Alright, so then we go next day, and
So,
to go to
that's when we get to Cosmo, right?
we get to Cozumel, right? So this is our first stop, and, we're good girls. We get up, we go to the gym, and we get ourselves together. We go have breakfast, and we just take our time getting off the ship. We're not in any rush. We're there all day.
We do our skincare routine,
We do good. We're all, and it's kind of
hashtag Caitlin Colgate.
that's right, Caitlin, one for you. So we, you kind of have to be prepared, right? And after us being around lots of, we've been to the souks in Morocco and we've been to Turkey. And so I'm really always ready. Here comes the sales pitch, really bad sales pitches, and then the bargaining and all that. And then we're just sitting and kind of chilling. And then we meet Edgar,
Ol Edgar, the nice
the
Mexican.
nice Mexican. He's all of 25, I think, with literally almost no Hispanic accent. And he's trying to tell us I'm like, you've got to be up in Tijuana border area because he literally hardly has an accent. And nice. He was funny. Actually, we got a
He
kick
was
out of him.
hilarious.
But
He could
that's where the fun sort of ended there. So we get in there, and I have to preface that MZ was like metabolizing alcohol like super fast. Bottom line is like we're drinking like lemon drops, and I'm like, "Whew, these are kind of like hitting strong." She goes, "Really? I'm not feeling anything." So
I was working really hard to try and catch a buzz, and it just would not happen.
yeah, you we're having so we preface this for what happened next. So Edgar works in this tequila shop, and he's gonna give us samples. So
Mind you, we hadn't had anything yet that day. I
right,
was hydrated,
good to
good
go.
girl.
Yeah. And so, and the samples are like seriously like an eighth of a shot. I mean, it's nothing, just a taste. So MZ goes in ahead, and I'm just sitting there. I'm actually talking to my family real quick and making sure everything's good. And I've been in there about 10 minutes. maybe 15 minutes or so. And I thought, all right, I'll go walking in there. And she's sampling everything. And he's, "Yeah, you want to try? Yep, yep." And now he's like getting ready, what would you like to buy? So she's over looking at the bottles and I see her face turn flush. And I went, "Oh," and she goes, "Oh, you might have got me, Edgar. You might have got
Finally.
me." So she thinks that she's catching a little buzz. And then her face expression just completely changes. And I went, "Oh shit." So MZ has a little bit of a heart thing going on here, and her heart will kick into tachycardia, like her heart rate will go up. And so I know this, and I'm always kind of watching her, and it's random, right? There's no specific trigger, anything. And the next thing I know, she sits down and she just looks at me. And of course, immediately, nurse over here, I grab her wrist and I'm like, "Oh, like your heart rate's like 180." So we're in the middle of Cozumel and I have Edgar
The
and
nice
the
Mexican
nice
who's starting to
Mexican
shit his pants because he
for
can figure out something bad is happening.
who also has a little crush on MZ here, and he's really hilarious. And so he's somewhere between I'm supposed to be selling stuff, and she doesn't look so good, and she's a nice person, and holy shit, what? Okay, keep it cool. I mean, it was hilarious to watch. So the long and short of it is that we try. She knows how to kick herself out. This is a known condition. She very well manages it. And I said, "All right, well, kick yourself out." And she would doing the Valsalva maneuver. So just for the general audience that may not be medical, when you have a fast heart rate like that, one of the ways to kick yourself out is to bear down. And so she's bearing down and I feel it slow. And then as soon as she releases it, pops back up. And I'm like, this is not good. And now I'm debating, do I lay her on the floor? Remember, we're in the middle of a tequila shop in
It looks a
Cozumel.
lot worse than it is. If anybody saw this right now, they'd be like, "Oh, you're sloppy drunk." I'm like, "No, I'm just in full blown SBT and clinging on for dear life.
And
Please
she
don't
looks at
judge."
me and I'm like, she had color. And I'm like, okay. And then I kept checking and I said, can we get some water? I was trying to get some cold water in her. He brings over like the little shot glass size of water. And
Little
I'm like,
thimbles.
shit. So I run over to the pharmacy and get some water. I should have picked up a whole bunch of other shit while I was there, but I got the water. Come back. And I said, start drinking quickly. Let's get some water on you. And then as she's doing that, I grab her wrist. I grab her wrist and I can't feel her pulse on one side. It is weak and kind of thready. And I'm like, oh shit. And so I grab the other wrist and it's a little stronger, but it's a thready pulse. And I look at her and I say, how are you
Don't follow
feeling?
the light, Carol Ann. Don't follow the light.
Hoping it's just me not assessing. You always hope like it's got to be me. I can't. Maybe my finger's not on the right spot, or please let me be wrong, is what my head was saying. And I'm starting to have tunnel vision. I'm like, oh fuck me. So I'm getting ready to go lay her down, and no sooner as I'm getting ready to, she's wait. I'm a little better. Like it went in, it came out. Her pulse it came back. I don't know if God, the universe, or somebody's like, all right, we'll help you out here. And I didn't lay her down because literally we're in the middle of a tequila shop and there's just people everywhere. And poor Edgar is literally crapping his pants at this point. And then in the midst of all that, so then she kind of gets situated and she's okay. The pulse is back. I'm starting to feel a little better. Her heart rate was still fast, but it was more like 120 and not 180 or 200, right? So I'm like, okay, drink water, sit. No sooner we get that situated, I look up and I went, MC, I bet you those are drag queens. Those are that there was drag queens on our ship and they were doing a show. And these two guys come waltzing in there, bigger than life. And I'm like, they've got to be drag queens. So they kind of make
My
eye
guardian
contact.
angels.
They're so funny. And I'm like, hey, what ship are you guys on? Because there's multiple ships there. Oh, we're on the breakaway. I'm like, hey, you're the drag queens, aren't you? Yes, ma'am. And so right there, and we have a picture, we got to meet Raj.
Raja
Raja.
O'Hara.
That's right. And some of you guys might be familiar if you follow drag queens, but Raja was on the RuPaul Drag Race in 2019, 2020, 2021. And he was with another gentleman that I thought was also a drag queen. He was also
She's really
very
pretty.
he's a pretty yes, he's very pretty, and he's very, extravagant, a lot of personality and all that. And I said,
He knows
"Well,
he looks good.
who are you? Like, are you a drag queen too?" And he goes, "No, girl, I am not a queen and I am not a nurse." And he was very proud to tell me that. And I'm like, "Really? What are you?" "I'm military." I'm like, "What?"
It gets better, guys. It gets better.
And I'm like, "You're kidding." He goes, "Nope. He's Air Force and I am a recruiter." And I was like, "You've got to be kidding." And he was wonderful, Christian. We
I about
love him to death.
re-enlisted right there.
And so, but at that point, we hadn't seen any of the shows or anything, but they were playing like throughout the week. So we did get to see that later, which had its own story in it on that. So
He was a first
finally,
sergeant too.
oh, that's right. That's where you guys
Wait,
connected because he was a first sergeant.
I was finally coming out of the light and working very hard to look normal at this point. We had a whole conversation. I don't remember any of it,
I
and it's not because I
know.
was drunk. We'll have to reconnect with him. We were talking about bringing him on for another episode that I think would be kind of new and cutting edge for the Coming Home Well network. That'll be a super duper cool one. Maybe
Hmm.
that conversation I'll be present for it. That'd be
It's coming
preferred,
up.
but
I'm working on it. We're working on
we
what
can't wait to bring Christian back.
we
A
like him.
reservist, a first sergeant, adorable. Maybe he can show me how to do my eyebrows. That'd be nice.
Probably could. You they look good today. You did good.
Thank you. Thank you.
You're like way ahead of me. As you can see, her makeup is like pristine and I have lip gloss on. So there you go. Like that's what we got going on here. So so yeah, so we settled down. We had a great conversation. I'm literally watching her the whole time. And fortunately she was kicking out and it didn't just kick right out, but it did slow down and took about 30 minutes the whole thing.
Well, the problem was I usually carry emergency medication on me
Oh yeah,
100% of the
that's what
time.
you
It's in
said
my
to me.
purse.
You said I
So
forgot my emergency meds. I'm like, the key
I had
word there.
switched to my fanny pack and I didn't put the medication into the fanny pack. Note to self, you moron. I should know
Yeah.
better. Now I know.
Yeah.
So we get back to the boat. I am starving and very sleepy because that's what happens after an episode. It's almost like
Yes.
running the Boston Marathon. And in a way, it kind of is. My heart is doing the work of a Boston Marathon. All I wanted to do was eat and sleep. And took a nap. I remember waking up with drool all over my hands. And it was time to go out and have a good time. Welcome
But
back to
you
my channel. Let's
but
go.
you but you had said you had made some plans that fell through.
Oh, yes.
And I didn't know about any of this until literally we were flying home, and then you told me this story.
So Norwegian has all sorts of packages you can buy, drink packages, Wi-Fi packages, excursions, and they also do things for couples. There was a package in there it looks like it was tailored to marriage proposals or vow renewals, and it came with a couples massage, chocolate covered strawberries, a bottle of champagne, a nice dinner at I think it was Carnegie's, and all sorts of other little goodies. And they do something cute in the room. And the price point on it was ridiculously low compared to everything you got with it and compared to the other packages that they offer. I was like, well, this is a no-brainer. I want a massage. I'll drink champagne. And I love chocolate covered strawberries. So sorry about your bad luck, but will you marry me? And I was literally like planning this out in my head and so excited. I wore my cute little button up shirt and had told a couple of friends what I was doing and had even made a video
And
leading
you
up to
did
that
this
night.
did you do this, like, when you were on the ship and bought it, or was it before we even hit
No,
the ship?
this was weeks ago.
Oh my god. So, yeah, so, like, here, I'm gonna get proposed to, so to
I
speak.
love you. Me love you long time.
Oh
And I had this whole thing about what I was going to say, right? Only for us to get back to the boat and they're like, canceled. For whatever reason, we hate regret to inform you we'll refund the money back to your account. And I was like, well, son of a biscuit. Which I mean, it ended up working out okay anyways. I really wanted the bottle of champagne and more than anything, the massage. That's really what I wanted. I was like, I don't care if Detox is in there with me. I don't think she's gonna care either.
We're
But
on
we
our
still
own
ended up,
beds.
yeah, right?
Right.
And we ended up going to dinner that night. We met up with JJ, Tony, Cindy, and
Very.
Marianne,
Yep.
and we still had an epic time that night.
Oh, it was that
It
the
was
epic?
epic.
That was the
Even
epic night. Oh,
even though my love proposal got
I
shut down.
know. I know, and
It's not
what but
me, it's you.
what
Just
are
kidding.
what a better place to do it than coming out, right?
I'm coming out.
Our husbands would be like, "You what?" I'm like, "Hey, we were in it for the massage champagne and strawberries." Like, really?
That
Let's get
gives new
real.
meaning to the t-shirt, "All mommy wanted was a back rub." That's all I wanted. If I have to propose to this lovely woman to get it, I will do it and make it look good, damn it.
Fine. I would have wanted one of those candy rings though. The big that
Oh,
would have
I
been
wasn't that prepared.
that would have
Look,
been
this
perfect.
my love is not enough.
Well, it is. I do adore
I
you,
could
but
have gotten like a little,
candy
gum
pocket.
wrapper.
That
Yeah, put it around your finger.
that would have been
I'd have
the
made something work.
funniest thing. Alas, though, even though we did not get the massage, we still had from an epic night. That's probably a good word. So I will say again, I said at the beginning, we came on this to do self care, to sleep, to eat, to relax, to engage with the nurses and learn about all of them. And we wanted to podcast on the ship, and we did ask them, and they did give us permission. But they said you can't interview the attendees, and that's fine. That's totally fine. And then one of my camera thing wasn't working right, so we just tossed it over our shoulder and said, "You know what? We're gonna wrap this up and do one when we get home, but we have to do it soon so we don't forget." So, lordy,
Tell me more about that night. The boat had theme nights. There was like prom night, sports, fairy tale. That particular night was a sports theme night. We had
I
dinner.
okay, yep, we had dinner. Do I remember dinner? Yep, we had that, and so we went to Sid Norman's. We're there and we're listening to music, and we kept going to this one, like, bar because the band there was so much fun, and there was a good entertainment, and MZ and I are both we can people so much, but, because 'cause we're veterans, it gets too crowded, and we're like, we're out. So
I'm out.
there was a really long line. We literally went the other direction. Like, when Nurse Blake he had 2 shows, and the line was literally down the pretty much the entire ship, and we're like, "We're out." Like, and then there
Mm-mm.
was drag queen bingo we wanted to go to, line out, we're like, "We're out." So we went to the smaller places, and we ended up at the Sid Normans all the time. We loved
I
it.
want to be where the people aren't.
You were
Over and over in my head. And thank God we were traveling with each other because there's a
yeah.
lot of people who don't get that. And this is a once in a lifetime opportunity. And I'm like, cool. I'll be in the back of the room away from everybody else. Leave me alone.
I know. I know. We can sit here and talk and be entertaining, but yeah, we are kind of like we can only handle so much, right? And then we get kind of that's enough. We have to decompress. So, like I said, we are a lot alike in that. So that made it easy. When one said we're out, we're like, yeah, we got you. Goodbye. So we ended up at St. Norman's with our buddies, JJ, Tony, Marianne, Cindy, met us there. And
Espresso martinis.
yeah, and it was a martini and lemon drop night. So had an espresso martini, and then they're like, "Hey, let's what would you like to drink?" And her and I said, "Hey, get a lemon drop." And they're like, "What's that?" And then they all liked lemon drops. So we're all drinking lemon drops. Again, though, watching a show, like no intention. And being military and I was there back, I know those nights where it's let's go. Like we're just gonna go drink to drink. And
Thanks,
it was
thanks, thanks.
It was
Not that.
not that night. I'm doing a lot of prefacing here 'cause
In fact, she kept looking over at me, and I can
checking on
tell
you.
when she's, like, psychoanalyzing me or assessing me, not
I was
judging,
yeah.
assessing, or every now and then I'd feel like a little, you know, something on my hand, and
Are
I
you
would jokingly
okay?
turn
Yeah.
around. She's checking my pulse, which I would respond with, "You would do well in the future to not ever poke your medic again," after the flight
So
attendant scenario.
I said,
She's checking
"Okay."
on me. She's good to go. She's cognizant. She's
I
cool.
know.
We're having a good time.
All this prefacing for what's to come. So we went to St. Norman's, had a couple lemon drops, take off to the main area. There was it was
Manhattan.
sport the Manhattan room. There was sports theme night and it's just music and people dressed up and except us because we were so busy prior to the cruise. We didn't even look at the schedule. We just were lucky we had underwear. Like I mean, we're like, we're good. So
Got my toothbrush, underwear, that's it.
yeah, we just dressed in whatever. And so we're all there and the music was great. And we're out there
Jock
dancing,
jams, baby.
having a good time. Yeah, it was like 80s night and like just having a lot of fun. So I had to pee. So I said, "Hey, I gotta go to the bathroom." And I even said to her before that, "How's your heart?" And I'm good. I'm like, okay, like
The Topher Law's on deck. We're good, baby. We're good.
if we need to go, then let me know. No, I'm good. I'm like, okay. And I went to the bathroom. And
And
that
before she did, though, because I am generally kind of a weirdo when it comes to separating, especially with my girlfriends. We go together, but the bathroom is literally right around the corner.
yeah,
And we were both totally good. So I thought. But even still, I was like, okay, 5 minutes. And I remember looking at her like, 5 minutes, almost like that for telling, right?
you
So we
kinda
got
had a
the
weird feeling, yeah. And so I did,
not even 10 minutes.
I went into the bathroom. Now my timeline, which who the hell knows what that was because I don't remember any of it.
She was in the DeLorean,
I
time
thought it
warping.
I thought it was an hour, but come to find out, this span of time was probably 15 minutes. So I went into the bathroom and, ugh, so I I sat down to pee and
Do you take your pants off first?
well, I did.
That's
Up to
good.
that
Good
point,
start.
and then all of a sudden, I felt like I was on that fucking fair, the rides at the fair, like the pirate ship, where it swings up and swings down.
Woo!
And I'm like, "Oh, shit."
Oh, ship.
And I couldn't open my eyes. Like yeah, it was, "Oh, shit." And
Oh,
I was
ship.
like, "Okay, I can do this. I'm just gonna pee." But every time I'd open my eyes, it would get really bad. And I'm like, "Okay." So somehow I managed I can't believe I'm gonna say this. So
Let
embarrassing.
it all out, girl.
I did.
She connected with her inner
So
enlisted child.
I
That's what happened.
and vomited him out. And so I was able to get myself dressed and then made it to the floor. And when you're drunk, when you're happy to be hugging a toilet bowl, you're like, oh, that feels so good. Like something was holding my head. So gross. Like I'm like everything. I should have just done a decon afterwards, but I
Your guardian angels might have, and we just don't know about it. I wouldn't be surprised if they
probably,
did.
so I threw up but I hit the toilet because there was nothing on me. I actually hit it, but I did that twice. Somehow had enough foresight in me to actually flush the toilet, be kind to others, right? And I thought, I'm just gonna, every drunk person, I'll just take a nap here. And then when I wake up, I'm going to feel better. And the next thing I hear is, "Speaking of you, okay, the door." And I'm like, I'm trying to tell him I'm fine. I'm fine. I just have to throw up and I'll be okay. I don't know how the door got unlocked. I have no idea. And from this point until the morning, I only have a glimpse. So I do remember them saying, "Get a wheelchair." And I'm like, "What?"
Oh,
And
ship.
they're like, "Okay, you just need to come with us." I'm like, "I can't open my eyes." So I literally still to this day do not know who these people are, right? These little angels. And my eyes are closed. I cannot open my eyes. And I remember sitting and my feet going on the stirrups, right? Like on the foot pads there. And I don't remember another thing until I hit my bed. And you know how big that damn ship is. And you how narrow that hall is.
Oh, I know. I know. I had found out that night.
So, okay, so I'll stop there. In the meantime, you say what's going on at your end.
Yeah, it couldn't have not even been 10 minutes. I'm like, "I know I told her 5 minutes, and I know she heard me because she responded. Something doesn't feel right." So, leave the dance floor, and I go in the bathroom. She's nowhere to be found. I was like, "Maybe we missed her." So we go back into the Manhattan. She's not there. I'm like, "Maybe she doesn't feel well, and she went up to the room." So we go back upstairs to the room, empty, and this is when panic sets in. I'm like, where the hell did she go? And thankfully, I was with friends and we divided and conquered. And it only took us about 15,000 steps of walking the ship at various decks. But we ultimately found Detox in our room and her face was covered. And I was just so relieved
With a
to see
pillow.
her with a pillow over it, with her tiny body just on this bed in the fetal position, and I was like, "Ooh," and our friend JJ was outside, he goes, "Make sure she's got some air, okay?" I'm like, "Yeah, yeah," and there was a bottle of water right there, and I was like,
In
put
the
my
rescue position.
put my head close to her, I'm like, "Yeah, she's breathing," and I gently tapped her shoulder, I was like, "You okay?" And she goes, I was like, "Airway is open, we are good." So,
Oh,
I'm like,
this is so
"There's not much
embarrassing.
else we can do." I mean, let her sleep it off,
And
not
so
knowing what had happened prior to that.
right, like, you just think, "Oh, she found her way to the room." Yeah, no
Yeah,
idea what happened. So they went and ate. They're like, "We're" 'cause, you know, like,
twice.
it's just a feeding frenzy up there. So, yeah, they
I
went.
met my fat kid soulmate.
So
First dinner, second dinner, we had a third dinner at O'Sheehan's Fish and Chips.
oh my god. So I laughed because so the next morning, I, like, creep an eye open. You all know the morning after, right? Like, you're all trying to figure out, like, was that a dream? Is the room spinning? Am I okay? The room's not spinning.
Where's my keys? Where's my
Okay, I
wallet?
look over, I see water. I'm like, okay. MZ's in the bed there. And I'm like, okay, so the big test to get up, right? And I got
This is where
up
it gets unfair.
and I had no hangover. I was not dizzy. I was not nothing. And I'm like, oh,
Thank
okay.
you,
Like
porcelain gods.
I was weak, don't get me wrong, but I was not hungover, right? So then I make that comment, like, crap, I don't have a hangover. And MZ's that's because I got it. Damn it.
It was like osmosis. I wasn't even drunk that night. I was just so happy to have found my friend. She's okay. I want to eat
Oh
and walk
my
around and enjoy the water.
God.
Osmosis, it's a thing.
So
Thank
we
you for that.
so we stayed in the room, right? And we just chilled that day. Now I'm thinking that and I still don't have the answer. So if my angels are out there, we'll happily bring you on the podcast and we can talk about this. But
Oh,
I
yes.
think, and I know part of this is true, but I think the reason why I didn't have hangovers because I threw up twice, right? So I'm thinking, oh, I got it out of my system and it wasn't that bad, yada yada. And a couple of days later, when we're packing, I have these like vitamin packs, and I see a pill and I'm thinking it's one of my vitamins that fell out of the bag, but then I'm like, that doesn't look familiar. And I flip it over and it's stamped, right? So I'm like, wait, that's a medication. It's not a vitamin. So I said, hey, MZ, is this your, vitamin?
Zofran.
And
Yeah.
she's no. And I'm like, what? So of course, nurse, I go look it up and yeah, it was Zofran. And so I don't know if they gave me one that night. And
I'm pretty
MZ's
sure
like,
you got roofied by a Zofran. It's the
MZ's
only
like,
roofing you want.
do you think that they would do that and leave you there? I'm like, "So,
Yes.
Fran, yeah, I would do that. If you can swallow it, take that bad boy." And so, yeah, I don't know, but if it was and if my angels are listening to I don't you couldn't even do anything more than describe the very caring voices. I'm very embarrassed, and I thank you very much. And I'm sure I'm not the only one. Well, we know I wasn't the only one. There's
Thank you
somebody.
for being a friend.
Thank you. So, yes, I survived and we're here to talk about it. So that was that night. And the next day, our buddies had a good laugh and they would tease me. And I did not drink another lemon drop at all. Any drink I had, I was sipping very slowly. And yeah, matter of fact, I think when we were in the Bahamas and they were handing me mojitos, I drank some and then tossed them. I was like, I'm not going there again. So, yes, fuck lemon drops. They hurt.
Yeah, that lemon dropped you,
And
sister.
I did understand as we were talking about this, I'm like, why is it? Now I think I realized the lemon cuts the sweets. You don't think they're that sweet, but they're sweet. But the lemon
Mhm.
cuts that. Yeah. So it kind of fools you.
That's why when I
So,
make them at home, I like to get stevia in the raw, mix it with a little bit of water instead of using simple syrup. Cuts way down on the hangover and calories. Follow me for more life advice.
by MZ.
So we kind of recovered that day and woke up
Oh,
just in time for prom
oh,
theme
yes.
night. The show at Sid Norman's was epic. They were playing 80s music, and it's kind of like a comedy show and concert mixed together. The personalities that group has are just like amazing, and they feed off each other well. They're all so incredibly talented. Found out that I actually went to school with their guitarist at one point. That was
That's right.
super
College.
cool. Yep. Yep. Super,
I
again,
think we
super
have a
small world.
picture. Yeah, we have some pictures and we'll have but yeah, he was cool.
He was super cool. Yeah,
And
I also think he was well, we'll have to share the THC drop story another day, but I'm pretty sure he was enjoying some himself.
he was
He
high
looked up
flying.
yeah, he looked like he was in the clouds, but he shreds on a guitar, so there's that. And while we were at Sid Norman's, in walks a group of nuns in
Yes.
full habits. That's what they're called.
What was the theme that night? Oh, it was prom. That's right. Sorry.
Prom.
Prom
And
night.
they had
Rulers.
their rulers out and were checking all the girls' dress lengths and slapping knuckles. And I just sat there
Yeah, and there we were,
like,
like, MC with her. She put her leg out and they're measuring it, and yeah, both of us have these pictures of us getting our dresses measured.
checked by the nuns.
We didn't have
Yeah.
prom dresses because, again, we did not look at the schedule to even know there was theme nights. I don't know why we wouldn't think that, but we didn't have that. So I just had whatever dress. I happened to bring one dress, and MZ brought her dress. And let me tell you, I was impressed at what people were wearing. Like where they were packing this, they must have had 6 suitcases. There was a person with an entire what like
Like
a
full
full
ball gowns.
yeah. Yeah, I mean, there were people my God,
Like,
when
I
we
can
had
pack a petticoat. Where'd you put
petticoat.
all that?
That's what I was thinking. I'm like, She got a petticoat underneath that." I
Had
mean,
to.
full out. It was incredible. We looked like stupid next to them, but I mean, they were.
Peasants.
Yes, we did, but it was still fun, we didn't care. We were like, "We're gonna go there for the dancing." So we had prom night, and
That was
I
kind
would
of
like
an
to point
easygoing
out,
night.
we this was a nursing conference. There was education going on the whole time. We were just not partaking.
Yeah, we saw them doing BLS and, like, patient advocacy and
Kinds of
pharmacology,
things.
and we just
Pediatrics, all kinds of stuff. Yeah, we just
going
were
to the
not.
buffet.
That's where we're getting educated, and
Yeah.
lemon drops.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
learned about more about Indian food. Turns out I really, really like it.
Ooh, they had some good Indian food there. I
Ooh,
tell
their
you that.
pistachio gel cake. Oh, yeah. I would go back just for the food. It was delicious.
I know.
So that brings us to day 6, which was the Bahamas. We got there and we were so excited to get in there.
It was
Problem was,
supposed to be an 8-hour day. Like, we were supposed to be out there for 6 hours.
yeah, the sea had other plans. So there's these tiny little, they're called tenders. I just think it's a ferry, basically.
Yeah.
You get on and you go back and forth. But the sea was a little angry that day. And
Mhm.
so they had to cut the ferry rides down, which significantly slowed down the process. So we only got, I think, maybe 3 or 4 hours on the island. It was great stirrup Cay, absolutely beautiful. There was a
Mhm.
Bacardi bar, more food. Not that I freaking needed it. I'm pretty sure I gained about 5 pounds in the last week. You could snorkel. It was
We
pretty.
just kinda chilled. Some of the people we were with, they went and snorkeled, and then we just kinda chilled and, we again, back to this whole, like, self-care thing, minus lemon drop night, there was a lot of just kind of quiet for a change. Like, our lives are so busy that we just don't stop, And even out of the military where we're retired but you're in school, right? And you coming on to do this is just kind of a luxury because really we've agreed that you need to focus on school, getting that done, and you'll come back into the podcast, when you're done. But
Go get my
having
big girl jobs.
your big girl job, yes. And having that quiet time, we did a lot. Like one of the first things we did, we found like it was called the waterfront and it was this
Mm.
quiet area. It was like the first place we found, right? And we're just like, oh, I could breathe. And every morning we woke up on our own, well, minus
No
lemon drop
alarm.
morning, but we'd wake up at sunrise and we had a balcony. And so we would go outside and we would see these incredible sunrises, right? I mean, they were
Have
just
a cup of
gorgeous.
tea.
Have a cup of tea and just
We
unwind. And
brought books,
yeah, we actually read them. I read
like
some.
for pleasure.
Yeah. Didn't have children, when you just
Mom,
kind of,
mommy,
yeah,
mama,
that's my
bruh.
favorite word. Mom, 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 mom. Oh my
My daughter called
God.
me bruh the other day.
Who
I
did?
wanted to my daughter.
Called you bra?
Bruh. Hey, bruh. Thankfully, she switched up from that, and now it's just girly. I'll keep that. Hey, girly. I'm like, hey, girly. Hey. I'll keep that. She can keep the bro stuff for somebody else.
So,
Not
yeah, so
having it.
we really were just kinda like, we're gonna just take care of ourselves and just kinda chill, and we really had we did not plan a lot, and even when we went in, we didn't do any excursions, which fortunately, half the people canceled them when we hit the Bahamas, right?
About the
We
biggest
just
plan I had was to try and wife you up.
I know,
That didn't
and
work.
didn't even work, damn it. No wife up there. Although my husband probably would have been like, "Take her for a while, we're all good."
Whatever.
So so we did get in, and the cool thing was, like I told you, we didn't go to any of the big shows, right? So
Until that night.
till that night. So we did the Bahamas, but we really were chill there. We took pictures, walked around, and just were quiet, really. And then that night, we find out Blake is doing another show. Now we missed his shows because again, the lines were stupid long. We were going the other direction. And then I think he had to cancel one because his voice went out. And you could
Yeah.
hear a couple times I heard him talk and you could hear his voice strained. But because he is the ever kind-hearted person that he is, he goes and does 2 more shows on the same night, a 7 and a 9.
This one
And
was particularly cool though, because he was saying he would have done his shock advised tour lineup, which we got to see his show when he came to San Antonio I
right.
think it was November, right?
Mhm.
October, November timeframe. We
Mhm.
went and saw him live. Shock advised. Freaking hilarious. If you
Mhm.
missed it, you snooze, you lose. That
And
was funny.
he even gave us tickets to give away, and we gave away tickets, right?
Yeah.
So I
He is
remember
so
getting
generous. I love Blake's heart.
yes, it's
He's
a
just
very
a
big.
sweetie.
So
Very, very big.
he decides he's gonna do another show, so we say, "We're gonna go to this one," because we figured most of the crews already went, so, like, we can go now, and we were right. It was busy, but it wasn't a packed house, and so we got to see his new material for 2025 because 'cause he'll be going on tour in 2025, and he tried it out on us,
It
and
was funny.
it was actually I almost think it was better than his first one, like his 2024 tour. I liked I liked it. We can't tell you it, of course, but
No leakage here.
you should go get tickets. We actually might go back to him and say, "Can we raffle off some tickets?" So, we'll see. Maybe we'll get some out there for you guys. So we did that and then was very happy to have that
We caught him right at
opportunity.
the end.
Did we catch
Finally.
him? No, we didn't catch him at that. Not we didn't catch him after his show.
Oh, it was the next show.
Right. So in the
Yes, it was
background,
the next show. That's right.
right. In the background, what's going on is we're putting pictures up every day. Can you find Detox and MZ? Our buddies actually caught a picture of us. They did it, they put it up later, but we were out in the balcony and got the picture. He's like, gotcha, like that. But they didn't post it till later. It was kind of funny. But yeah, after that show, we decided we were going to go eat. At least we thought we were. And then we realized the last show the drag queens were putting on, and we're like, "Oh, we can't miss it."
We
So we
can't miss
turn
that.
right back around, jump in line, and we go to the drag queen show. And the show itself was fabulous. However,
Yes.
MZ was kind of struggling to be able to fully enjoy it because
So, and I don't think I've ever shared it in this venue. I have a diagnosis of Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, which comes with a grand bag of fun things to include dysautonomia. So I have to be kind of careful about what I'm doing when I'm doing it, and just plenty of water, meds at the right time, eat, da 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 da. So I'm starting to get a little hangry by this point. Nothing too bad, but I'm like, all right, I'll eat in an hour. I'll be fine. I'll be good. I'll have a mojito. It'll be fine. It'll be fine.
perfect.
And yeah, and it was fine. We were in the very front, second row, towards the end. We had phenomenal seats, and there was I don't know, she was maybe 40s, 50s-year-old lady sitting right next to me and an empty seat next to her. Another lady walks up to the lady sitting next to me and says, "Hey, I'm not trying to be rude, but I'm pretty sure your daughter could use some help upstairs. You might want to go check on her." So this lady looks at me. She goes, "Hey, will you hold our seats?" And I'm like, "Yeah, sure, whatever, no problem." So I'm holding the seats. She brings her daughter back down, who is very clearly sloppy drunk. And when I say sloppy drunk, like, we've all been there. I've been there. I would be a hypocrite if I said I haven't been.
Apparently, I was there.
Hey, we all have a turn. We all have a
They
turn.
they just put me in a room where this girl should have been too.
Yeah, she should have been anywhere but right there. And when I say sloppy, she's like flinging her arms, and she's got her feet up on the seat. She's in this little thong bikini
Oh, yeah,
and
she wasn't
yelling
even
and
dressed.
crying.
Yeah.
At one point, she's going on and on, crying about some boy. I'm like, girl, leave him. Bye. Was what whole other story. She's sitting there Snapchatting the whole thing, and she's getting like her and her mom. And I look over and I realize I'm in this video, and I'm like, oh, whatever, let it go. Happens again. And I'm just kind of like, I side eyed. I just want to enjoy the show. Please stop. Kind of like my picture being taken. It was just kind of, it was awkward. And I was super annoyed with her and
And
a
you're
little bit
hungry.
hangry. Yeah. And they're super drunk. I'm annoyed by that. And uh, like, she's moving around in her seat, and she kept hitting her mom, who's then hitting me. And I'm like, just over it, right? And then the mom too, she kept pulling her phone out, and Nurse Blake was sitting like a row back from us in the center. And the whole time, instead of paying attention to the phenomenal drag queens that are up on the stage, moving and shaking, doing a fantastic job, she's sitting there like zooming in on Blake's face. And this goes on for a majority of the show. And I'm like, you're super weird. And she's super obnoxious and ah. And then I remember at one time too, she's like, "Mom, I'm so weird." And I wanted to be like, "Yes, bitch, you are. You need to go somewhere." And the security guy sitting at the end cap next to Blake, he was looking at me, I'm looking at him, and we're having this conversation without a word being said. And I was like,
Choke them out.
"Put her away."
She should.
So shut up.
She
Shut up.
and when even when we walked off, she was literally tripping over herself, and I'm like, "Girl, I get it." Like you said, we've all been there, but good wingmen, they would
Don't.
remove you. Like, you would not have let me stay if I was that guy. You'd be like, "We're going." Like, no
Absolutely
option.
not.
You're going. Like, to save
No.
you and to save us, and that's it. But it was funny, we're all leaving, and it was Blake had come down. He was, like, in the 2nd or 3rd row in the middle watching the show,
You're so
and
cute.
the show gets over, and we're all leaving, and I look over now, up to this point, we have not been able to run into Blake. He's very busy. literally run around. I don't even remember who we are, but I mean,
I'd be
he's
surprised if he remembers who he is by the end of that
I know,
cruise.
just really worn out, right? So, but I really wanted, we're here on the cruise and, we're going to do this podcast. And I would just love to have this picture.
He's
And
dressed up as Peter Pan, by
he
the
was,
way.
yes, he's dressed up as Peter Pan because the theme that night was fairy tale and in the woods. And so he was dressed up as Peter Pan.
Blanky
And
Pan.
I look over as we're leaving, and all the rows are emptied out, and he's over there as people are leaving, talking to them. And I went, "MZ, come here." And I literally just bolted across. And I'm going to tell you, I'm not a fangirly. I don't stalk people. If we hadn't been on this for the podcast and stuff, I probably would have just walked off. But we know how kind he is. We've talked to him, and I really thought, my Lord, let's give him some love and let's get this picture. So I come slipping over and his one of his guys is there, his bodyguards, and kind of looks at me and I'm like, "Hey," and I go, I said, "We interviewed him." I go, "He actually gifted us the cruise. He was really kind, and I really just wanted to say thanks and kinda take a picture." And this guy's massive, right? Like, you see him in an alley, you're running the other way, right? And he just kinda looks at me and he nods his head. He goes, I'll get him for you," like that. And I was like, "Thanks." And so, literally, at least 3 people, like, of his staff were, like, talking to him. You could see he's in 3 directions, and he came over and he's, "Hey," and he's just trying to literally figure out where he's at. It's boom, 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 boom. And I said, "Hey," I said, you know, from bullets to bedpans, I said, "We interviewed you a couple months ago. You gifted us the cruise. We came." And he's, "Oh," and he looked at me, he goes, "Are you having a good time?" And I'm like, "It's been wonderful." I mean, you could see like he stopped for a minute, like, and he goes, "Great." So then we took a picture. I look half baked on it. You'll see it here. But I got the damn picture, even through my cloudy lens, because couldn't have a chance to clean it and we were in a rush. But we were very happy to snap the picture and
I
it's
mean,
that time.
all fangirling aside, he is just an amazing person for all of the care, concern, and projects he's done for nurses, for the gay community.
Uh-huh.
He's a very real, relatable, kind-hearted person. He's a little shit too,
I was gonna
with
say, don't
a
forget
wicked
sassy,
oh yeah,
wicked.
with yes, total. I mean, I love his sense of humor.
Yes.
It's also a little dark,
He
which I can appreciate.
gives I think that's why we like him though, because this whole podcast is a podcast version of kind of what he's doing on obviously a much bigger level. But this whole idea of, hey, come in and talk about things, but in a way that we can just talk about it, not what leadership's in the room, what patients in the room, what civilian that if we say it wrong, we might make them throw up. Let's just talk about things
Keep
with
it real.
and be funny. Actually, I was telling you, I had just done a podcast the other day and we were talking about military, medical, and our really warped humor. And she sends me, it was Pam, and she sends me a picture. She goes, "I'm going to show you this picture. I want to see your reaction." And it's a buddy of hers that is a double amputee and from the military. And he dressed up for Halloween and he dressed up in like a old, uniform and it's all ripped and bloody and and you see a foot taped to the wheelchair and like and when you look at it and it shows like he has his it looks like his legs blown off like he did all the moulage on it like he did and it looks rough. He's got his head wrapped and he's just looking at you and he looks like he just got blown up, right? And I guess when he came in, like, there were people that were, like, all offended, and, I go, "Were they civilians?" She goes, "Oh, yeah, they were, like, pretty stressed," and "You can't call me out. I'm the one that got blown up. That happened to me. I look like that."
If you're uncomfortable thinking about it, imagine how it was living it.
Right, and so that's I think in Blake's world, that's what he's doing. He's letting, these people in a safe space, And, everybody has a story, right? And so to me, if I had to guess, and I could be 1,000% wrong, and Blake, if you hear this, you can happily correct me, but I would think that he experienced some level of marginalizing and not being valued or judged or whatever. And we know that whole thing of like nurses eat their own kind of thing. And I think people like him and Nurse Meg and some of these other nurses, they're doing it better. These young generations are coming in and they're like, we don't have to be that way. And we shouldn't because there's just not enough of us to go around right now. So we either come together or we really struggle even more than we are. So
Let's talk
just
about
fact.
the drag queen show. I
Oh
mean,
my
aside from the fact that it was just phenomenal, I'm not gonna do it any justice. If you've never been to one, go.
just go. The
It's
fact
ghosts.
you have to look because we saw Raja in Cozumel as him, right? Not in drag. And then we see him in drag doing a whole show to a Whitney Houston tribute, right? And then Denali did this dance,
Denali
and
Fox.
Marianne was sitting beside me and kept going like this. And I'm like, "What are you doing?" She's like, "I just want to slap his butt." So I go, "Yeah, we all want his ass. It's like tight as shit."
Did you
Yeah.
know that he's actually a professional figure skater? I found that out after the fact. Professional
Well,
figure skater and choreographer. So those
and can do
moves,
splits like nobody's business.
backflips.
Okay, I'm gonna tell you, as he was doing as Denali's doing the flips and the splits and everything, I think I leaned over and said to you, I'm like, "Where's he tucking that?
Where's
Doesn't that hurt?" And like, holy shit, like that. He amazing. Denali was amazing. And all of them, so it was Denali Fox, it was
Ginger Minge?
Ginger Minge, and then Raja. And
Rancho O'Hara, yeah. So
they
I was
go ahead.
Oh, sorry. Oh, no, I'm just super excited right now, and I was when we were there too. So Ginger Minge, I recognized right away. She was in a movie called Dumplin'. It's got Jennifer
Yep.
Anderson and or Aniston.
Aniston.
Jennifer Aniston, let me be very clear. Super cute movie. It's got like a cute little Dolly Parton theme. I love Dolly, and
Yeah,
I
it's a feel
loved
feel good
it's
movie. Yeah.
yeah, feel good
It was
movie
feel
for
good.
sure. And then found out too Ginger Minge was in Hocus Pocus 2 as one of the
Yep,
Sanderson
she
sister
was.
wannabes,
Mm.
and just super talented, like, the number
She sang.
like,
I mean, Ginger
actually
does her
sing, not
own
just lip sync,
yeah,
yeah.
gorgeous, yeah, and very Broadway singing, like, really good. And then who
Yeah.
was Rajha? Well, but all of them were on RuPaul.
RuPaul's Drag
They'd all
Race,
been there. Yeah, and
like, the real deal.
yeah, yeah. When Raja did the tribute to Whitney Houston, I actually text Christian to because we're gonna meet up to talk some collaboration. And I said, "Hey, tell Raja that did a really good job." And the comment back, it was really funny. He goes, "Yeah, Raja's. Oh my god, thank you so much." He goes, "My favorite thing is to make people smile. Makes them feel the best." So yeah. So they had that, and yeah, and like Denali just bends in ways that are like just against physics. I'm pretty sure.
I just can appreciate the fact that they are out there challenging all these social norms, and through their performance too, it kind of sends a message to everyone that we all deserve to be seen and heard. And it doesn't matter
Mhm.
what your gender or orientation is. They're out there glammed up, doing the damn thing, but
Mhm.
there's definitely a message in the background too. And I don't know. I think it's pretty, pretty cool.
And they packed the house, so, yeah, people are like, people wouldn't watch that." Oh, yes, they would. They're all there. Matter of fact,
Straight men. Yeah.
JJ
Thank
went and
you.
he said, "Oh, I'm excited to go tell my nephew." I'm like, "Why?" Because my nephew is all into drag queens and all that, and he goes, "Now I can be like, 'Hey, I went and saw a show,'" and he was, like, all excited. They even liked it. That was really good, so
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Let's see. Oh, we didn't talk about so we'll leave you with some parting advice too. If you're
Yes.
ever on a cruise, make sure your name gets entered into the documents correctly. My middle name is not Barlene, but it was that week on anything Norwegian, it's Barlene. So it became the running joke that week. Again, love Dolly. And Detox was like, we're going to change the words. Barley, barley,
Arlene.
barley, barley. And it stuck. So when we got back to Miami and we're kicking it with Jacques for a little while, we had stopped by Starbucks one day and went to pay. And, they always ask for your name. And the Detox gave her name, but they said, is it Darlene? And then it
No?
went from, yeah, no, not even close. But then I was like, it is now. It is now. We've got Marlene, Darlene. And then Jacques was like,
Sure.
I'm feeling a little bit left out. So I'll be Jacqueline. And in his cute French accent, it worked. So we had Marlene, Darlene, and Jacqueline.
Arlene.
Make sure your information gets uploaded correctly. I mean, then the passport too. I
Oh, the passports.
So I don't
Okay,
have my
yeah.
passport nearby. I will send just the picture of it. But I got stopped in the airport on the way back. And in all fairness, it totally looks hijacked. It looks nothing like me. It looks like me if I ate
The whole cruise ship
the whole cruise ship.
in a
Yeah, there might be.
sitting. She had MZ had a little fluffier days and happened to show me
Yeah.
the passport, so I knew, like, the picture, and because I saw it, I'm like, "That's you?" I didn't recognize.
Yeah.
Well, now
TSA said the same thing.
but now well, in your defense, they were doing to everybody, so, like, now they do it's kinda scary, and they do face recognition, so, we're all in a system somewhere. And if your passport's not like the scanner's not working or whatever, they'll be like, stand here and look at the camera. And it does face recognition. And that's how you can move on. It was glitching because it happened to three of us. And I was one of them. And it says on it, go see your passport agent for a new picture. I'm all like, hey, like, and she came out, she goes, yeah, they told me I'm going to need a new picture. And I was like, okay, well, yours is legit. I'm like,
Yeah,
you
it literally doesn't look anything like me, so I don't blame him for that. What I
but it
do
was
blame him
funny.
for, he goes, "I'm gonna need to see a second form of ID." So I'm digging through my pink fanny pack that didn't have metoprolol in it, stupid, and I just grabbed the first ID I can find. I was like, "I don't care if it's my school ID, my driver's license, whatever, just grab something." And I grabbed my DoD retired card and hand it to him. The picture looks just like me. Not hard to believe, it's only a few months old. And he goes, "Oh, and you're retired too?" Just like that, like, "Bitch, you gave me a fake passport. Now you're trying to convince me that." I was like,
Because
"Bro."
he's jealous. Because 'cause we're off on cruises and he's over there having to do he's jealous. Oh my god.
I was like, "I swear they're both legit." And he was not buying it. I was like, "Please don't frisk me. Please don't. I'm legit. Just let me pass." I see the Margaritaville sign glowing off in the distance, and I'm trying to get it in all the way up until I'm home. Detox was like, "No, no, chick, you're not. One of us has to drive when we get home."
Yeah, and you drove there, so, you get one, and that's it. She's, "Come on." I'm like, "Sorry."
So I settled for a mezcal with nachos, and it
Yep.
was delightful.
And that was the long and short we did take so, like I said, Jacques came all the way down and picked us up, and we took him to lunch. We're like, let's go back to Fort Lauderdale and eat lunch. And so we did. We found a great restaurant, had lunch, had a good talk, stopped at Starbucks, found out that I'm actually Darlene, didn't know that. And
Alter
now
ego.
Jacques is Jacqueline, right? We've got the trio now. And he makes the comment like, this has been the most relaxing day. This is awesome. And he proceeds to tell us about like his family they have a trucking business, transportation business, and they live together. They all have a, shared space. And apparently they adopt everything that comes in their path. And so his girlfriend that he broke up with a lot of years ago still comes to the house. She has 2 kids now, and they're not mine. So
He's
here's
I just get a small cave in a corner, and I have to see these people all the time, and it's I'm an inconvenience to them. And I'm like, "But that's my family." I'm like, "Bro."
he
Detox
said
was, "You need to get your own place."
so he was very grateful to have some hours without exes and nieces and nephews and parents and in-laws and all that stuff. So it was quite
Yeah.
funny. So
So sweet.
it
We
was.
met some amazing people on this trip.
We did. Then and the nurses we met, it's funny how like the press people, did you talk to any nurses? We did. We talked to a lot of nurses and to hear all these stories, it was incredible. And there was a lot. I mean, there was just a lot of people. We met a CNRA and it was hilarious because
The
I
dirty banana.
but oh yes, he was very caught up in the dirty banana. I will tell you there probably wasn't a lot of shop talk going on because half the people were obliterated. I mean, they were very relaxed, and I don't think they wanted to really talk shop. They went to the educational things, got their info, but it also was set to help them decompress, which I think really was the bigger part. They got CUs, they got what they needed, but they all got to let their hair down, and so we have takeaways from this. This was our self-care takeaways because boy, let me tell you, it's been a long time since I have been on a vacation on my own without anybody. I mean, family-wise and stuff like that. So I was a little, damn, I haven't been away from the kids this long. And I like, this is gonna be crazy, but it was the best thing I did. And I think you'd agree, MZ, yeah?
Yeah, without a doubt. I mean, this was my first vacation since 2017, and now that I'm home, I'm like, "Well, no wonder I felt like shit. I hadn't decompressed. I hadn't." I mean, it's crazy, just the little things, not waking up to an alarm or, I love my children more than anything in the world, but a few days of not being a caregiver was nice. Just the
Mhm.
only thing I had to worry about was myself, and it
And
it sounds really
detox.
s well, and that one time, yeah, yeah, but happily.
She's like,
Even that was short-lived.
thought you were gonna be chasing me around the cruise ship, not the other way around." I'm like, "Yeah, I'm sorry."
It was wonderful, though,
It
and, I
was.
mean, I'm so, so thankful that Blake was kind enough to give us this gift, and it was a bigger gift than monetary. This was self-care and the greatest way. I
Yes.
just wonderful, wonderful time. We both gained a little weight. I'm afraid to get on the scale. I
I
feel it.
did get
I feel
on.
it.
It was 3 pounds for me, which I was happy that I thought it was gonna be more like 13, but these are our takeaways. So, don't go so long without taking a vacation, time for fun. And honestly,
Fact.
you know, taking one by yourself is not such a bad thing or with your girlfriend or your friends or not saying that, or your husband or wife or whoever, but away from it's okay to take a vacation without your children as long as they're in a safe space and whatnot. But when you're on vacation with children, like we saw the couple that had twins and about a 5-year-old, and the twins were no more than
No,
8
thank
months
you.
old. Oh, they're adorable. But I just looked and I just saw stress all over that. Like, my God, one of mine would have climbed right over the wall, because he was a monkey. And so I,
Moving car seats, packing diapers, all the
yeah.
things. No,
And
thank
so,
you.
and is that fine? Of course it's fine. But, you know, for true decompression, even if it's just 2 days, do it. Take some time for yourself where you can let your hair down and, just be silly again. It's fine. And that's what Blake's cruise provided was a safe space to just be silly, and it was really good. So the other one, compliments of MZ over here. This is her takeaway. The phrase make lemons into lemonades can land you in a wheelchair and roofied with Zofran quicker than shit.
Facts.
Ah, but still go have the drink. Just don't have as many as I did. That's all. Yeah. You're gonna gain weight on the cruise. It's
Don't
a
try to avoid
that's
it.
all. Yeah, don't. I mean, we worked out. Well, we would have been good if we didn't have that lemon drop night. I think I would have worked out again, but I told her that morning, I'm like, "Don't ask me to go to the gym," and she wasn't planning on to.
I was thinking I already got my 15,000 steps just looking all over this bitch tree last night, so
Yeah,
I'm
screw
good.
that. We're good. We're good. And honestly, just have fun. MZ already said this, we got to watch Social Norms Challenge. We got to see people. And when I say from all walks of life, She'd been a nurse for how many years?
65 years.
65 years.
65.
Blake
Mm.
loved all over her. Like, she was awesome. You should have seen one night was emo night. Let me tell you, 60, 70-year-old women in leather skirts and dog collars. I kid you not. And whips, and which I don't think is necessarily emo, but I saw all kinds of things there. There was more fishnet than you saw in a fishing boat. I
All the
mean,
band shirts,
the band shirts, the black
black eyeliner.
smudged eyes, and these weren't like the 20-year-olds. These were 50,
Everybody.
60, yeah, it was
I saw a lady
impressive.
with a walker and a Metallica shirt, and I was like, "Future me, I see you, girl. I see you, girl."
Oh my god. It was so incredible. So, back to the being silly. If we would have taken a little bit of time, we probably would have brought some outfits to dress up in. And we didn't. We were lamos. But taking that time just to again be silly. We were like a whole bunch of college kids. That's what it was. That was probably slightly more responsible and maybe more financially stable. But otherwise, kind of acted stupid.
Debatable.
Debatable. Yeah. So
The good news is Nursecon at Sea 2025 will be
mhm.
here before we know it. They're already starting to talk about it. If you go on to nurseconatsea.com, in 2 days, they'll be releasing all the details. Here's what we know so far. It's going to be in the Bahamas. It's going to be on Royal Caribbean, which I hear wonderful things about from our new friend JJ. He's like the ship expert. He's been on, I think, just in the last 2 months, 4 cruises. I'm
Yeah.
like, dude, I want to be you when I grow up. This
Yep.
is amazing.
That's what
Living
he
his
did.
best life. And he said the Royal was fantastic. So I would love to go again next year. You want
Hint,
to come with me?
hint. Yeah,
Huh?
I
Huh?
think we're
Huh?
gonna ask them to let us podcast for them. We could have so much
Yeah.
fun.
Yes.
Yes.
10 out of 10 would recommend. It was an amazing experience, whether you're needing just CEUs or what is this? What are the civilianers?
CEUs,
Continue.
CEs,
Same thing? Okay.
CNEs,
CNEs, CEUs,
CNEs.
same shit.
Need some
Uh,
education. That's for your license. Then it's there. We-
need some vitamin C. Go get you some.
Yep. And you said it's coming out in 2 days, but by the time this gets released, it'll already be well out. But
Yeah.
nonetheless, go look it up, grab a friend and go. There was no children on the cruise. It was just adults getting to not adult for a little bit or semi not adult. It was good.
Ish.
Ish. All right.
Think that about sums up Nursecon at Sea 2024
Yep. And it
and
wraps
this
up
season.
the season. Yep. It's wrapping up the season. It's coming home well. We don't shout out to them too often, but we really do want to give them a sincere thank you because they give us this platform. They encourage us to be mischievous and get into things and hit the hard topics and be silly and joke and laugh. And literally, it's probably some of the best therapy that we have. So,
Yeah.
MZ is going to go off and finish her schooling, and we'll see what the new season brings for us. Until then, you guys all have an awesome summer and peace out.
Peace out, Girl Scouts.